Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. My name is Stuart Fishman. I'm a grocery clerk. I'm a union member. I rely on the 67 bus to get to work. I work weekends quite often. The 67 bus is going to be eliminated, or the bus will be eliminated on Sundays. I work till 8 p.m. Saturdays, the last trip is 6 or 6:30. So if I do work Saturday, I'm not going to get home till Monday unless I find some kind of alternative way, or I can work with my employer to just work during the week. So this is a problem for me. This is why I joined the Transit Riders Union. Did that recently. The purpose of the federal stimulus funds is to create jobs. But the irony is that folks relying on public transportation now have, like myself, now have difficulty getting to those jobs because of the service cuts. Seems to me that what's needed is additional funding. And so I hope that TriMet will do everything it can to find existing funding or new funds at the federal level, at the state level, at the county level, wherever it's possible to restore access to jobs that folks who rely on public transit need, and to restore hours to TriMet employees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Zachary. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Zachary Dobbles, and I am also a member of the Transit Riders Union. However, I will be speaking in place of a member who could not make it, named Al Bradbury. Oregon has one of the lowest business tax burdens in the U.S. A recent study was conducted by the accounting firm Ernst & Young on behalf of the Council on State Taxation, or COST, an association of over 600 multi-state and international corporations that lobby on state tax policy. The study found that businesses in Oregon pay state and local taxes totaling 3.7% of the private economy, compared to 4.9% for businesses nationwide. The Oregon Center of Public Policy estimates, based on this study, that Oregon could increase business taxes by $1.6 billion annually, and we would just reach the level of state and local taxes being paid by businesses nationally. Businesses in the metro area complain about their tax burdens, but they actually contribute less to public services and government than business in all but one other state in the nation, Connecticut. We propose that TriMet join with other public service entities to advocate for profitable businesses to pay their fair share of taxes in order to support the public services on which business depends. Although some businesses are not doing well in the current economy, many businesses continue to prosper and can afford to pay the additional taxes on those profits. Multnomah County has levied a business income tax on businesses' profits since 1973. The tax rate has not changed since 1998 and is set to a 1.45% of net income. As far as we can tell, neither Clackamas nor Washington counties tax business incomes. Yet, some of Metro's largest and most profitable businesses operate in those counties. We propose that TriMet join with other public services in the metro area to advocate for the establishment of a business income tax in Clackamas and Washington counties and an increase of 0.5 in Multnomah County's taxes. In 1998, the county levied a 0.5 increase to help pay for public schools. The business income tax should not be an across-the-board tax, but a graduated income tax in which companies earning the largest profits pay taxes at a higher rate than small businesses that do not have large earnings. In addition to businesses, Oregon's wealthiest households also do not pay their fair share of taxes. Currently, top 5% households pay 6.7% of their income on state and local taxes, while middle and low-income households pay much more, from 7.9 to 9.2 of their total income. TriMet should join with other public services in the metro area to advocate for a tri-county income tax that be levied on wealthy households. These in the top 5% are those earning above $250,000, like, say, the general manager, Fred Hansen. The rate should be set that these households pay up to 2.5% of income taxes, which would bring their tax rate equal to that paid by Oregon's poorest households, 9.2%. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, the individual that lives at 3103, that's the handwriting of a physician. 3103 Southeast, something.
That would be mine, but it's not to do with the schedules or anything like that. It's on something else.
Okay. So you wanted to speak on a subject other
At
than?
the end, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris Lowe? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Chris Lowe. I'm a graduate student in environmental and social epidemiology at OHSU, and I hold a PhD in history from Yale University. I'm a member of the Transit Writers Union, Jobs with Justice Economic Crisis Committee, and the Coalition for a Livable Future, but today I'm speaking primarily as a member of the Transit Writers Union. The first purpose of my comments is to express my strong opposition to the service cuts you are about to vote in. I thought I would be speaking afterwards, but an opposition shared by the TRU as a whole. At a time when the demand for public transit services is rising and the need for them rising even more in the face of an economic crisis on a scale not seen for over 70 years, as Mr. Hansen referred to, at a time when the cuts will hit disproportionately at workers, lower income people, the disabled, the elderly, students, and communities of color who are already hit hardest, these cuts are plainly and simply outrageous and inequitable. They also fly in the face of the sustainability policies of the state, regional, and local governments, as well as emerging federal policies. In my view, these outrageous cuts reflect a deplorable failure of leadership and creativity on the part of TriMet's board and top management, part of a wider pattern of such failure by Metro, Portland, and state leaders to respond adequately to the exceptional scope of the economic crisis. The fact that it is such an exceptional crisis means you need to act differently. This pattern is shaped by balanced budget requirements, but those are not a sufficient excuse. The limited and informal response to these arguments, which the TRU and others have made, could be summarized as, well, it's easy to criticize, but what alternatives do you have to offer? You just heard from Al Bradbury via someone else some quite specific ways of approaching it. I'm going to approach it a little more generally. The basic problem is that TriMet, according to your own publicity, has considered only cuts and not sought new revenues for operating expenses. Two ideas to approach this lie relatively locally. First, TriMet is halfway through an increase in the payroll tax by 1/10% over 10 years that began in 2003, and you have reasonable hopes of new authority to raise it further out in the more distant future. I think a possibility you should explore is to raise revenue by issuing bonds against a portion of those future payroll taxes and thereby smooth out some of the cyclical gyrations of revenue. Current low interest rates might make this possibility more attractive. Secondly, as Al's testimony went into in more detail, TriMet could approach metro, county, and city governments and perhaps local school boards in the service area about a temporary tax in the service area, like the one that Multnomah County voters approved a few years ago to meet a crisis in the public school budgets. Making a joint approach would be particularly beneficial because it would break down the silos that are isolating you all from one another, all of the entities that are making these cuts. Each allegedly, you have no choice but to make these separate but cumulatively draconian service cuts. I think that this collective, inward-looking, isolated posture is a key to the pattern of lack of local leadership and creativity in response to this severe economic crisis. Last week, I attended the JPAC retreat that gathered a wide range of metro area leaders to direct planning for the transportation system for the next 25 years. Here's a question for you. Why is there no equivalent emergency summit group working to meet the current economic crisis in our area? And here's another one. Why doesn't the TriMet board take an initiative to get one going? Start with Metro and work out from there.
I'm going to need you to wrap up, please.
Okay. Well, the second point, the main point would be that you should also get together with other local governments and with us to make demands on the federal government for a people's bailout with monies that could be applied to your operating expenses. There's nothing inherent in federal money that says they can only go to capital. That happens to be the way it's set up now. So we need to make a demand for a people's bailout. If they can throw these trillions of dollars at wealthy bankers, they can take some of that and give it to the needs of the people here. Thank you.